Hey, behind these doors lie one of the greatest car collections you've ever seen.
There's some awesome stuff in here. A 55 Cadillac two-door with some subtle body mods. It's beautiful.
And there's one of the best and greatest road racing cars in American history.
A Mercedes Roadster that replaced the Mercedes Gullwing.
And Sam, something close to my heart, a Jaguar XKE Roadster.
Yep, absolutely. And a little Porsche Speedster coming out of the ground.
Looks like they're calls. Well, we got that and a lot more here on Griot's Garage Treasures. Wow, what a place this is. We're here in Griot's Garage Showroom, and you can see they got a lot of stuff in here in order to preserve your car.
That's right. And you know, not only do they sell a lot of fine automobile care products and so on, but these guys are car guys, and they're dedicated to helping to preserve the hobby and the whole collector car industry.
Speaking of that, look up there. They even got a Porsche up there they preserve.
Little Porsche
But this is what's exciting is right back here. Look at this. Well, Sam, what do you think, buddy?
Look at this.
They got
Look
some
at this.
nice stuff here.
Lamborghini is Lero. I got to look at this car.
I see the DNA runs quick in your veins, doesn't it? Well, anyway, folks, over here, this is something that I really love. This is probably represents one of the greatest road racing series in American history. This was the Can-Am series. Ran back in the late 60s, early 70s, and Bruce McLaren and Denny Hulme, they were the masters of the Can-Am series. They won it many, many times. This car was Bruce McLaren's car. This is one that he ran in 1967. This was about 4 inches shorter than the one that Denny Hulme drove. But this car won twice, finished second twice, and Bruce won the championship with this particular car. The radiator was up front, but as the air flowed through, it not only helped cool, but also helped keep the front end down as well. And of course, it had air ducts back here for cooling as well. Single seat, although there was another place in here for a seat, that was part of the rules. Had a small block Chevy in the back. The car was built in England, but believe it or not, the engine was American iron right there. This was a small block Chevy they used back in 1967.
The fit and finish of this car is so exquisite. And handmade Italian cars, there's nothing like an Italian car. This was made in 1968. They only made them 2 years. And yeah, got a V12, got tons of horsepower, it's a 5-speed gearbox. This basically replaced the 4000 GT. They made the track a little wider, wider tires, better handling, roomy interior. You know, Italian leather is awesome. This car was recently restored. They did a beautiful job. And there's so many subtle touches on this car. I mean, the rear glass comes out and curves at the back. That's just a little subtle thing that just makes it perfect. And you look back here, and of course you got your Lamborghini Islero logo. You got some beautiful bumpers, beautiful exhaust tips. And by the way, the name Islero was named after a bull that killed a famous matador. I can't even pronounce his name. And of course, they ran this in concurrent with other Lamborghini models they built. So they were building several cars, but there was only about 150 of these built. Then they went to the S model and built about another 100. Just a gorgeous example. I'd love to take a look under the hood.
All right, now we got the back of the car off so you can really see the business area here. See, it's a rear engine car, small block Chevy on this thing. What makes it a little unique, and this is what they used back at those days, back in the late 60s, this was a Lucas timed fuel injection system. And you can see they used the short ram horns on here. And here's your timed injection system here. It's all controlled with a cam down here. Believe it or not, they used a Hunt magneto on this thing. Now, these engines, even though the cars were built in England, these engines were built up in Livonia, Michigan. A guy by the name of Gary Knutson, which was with McLaren Engines at the time, built all these engines, and they were powerful. Uses a Hewland 5-speed transmission back here, and as you can see, it's got the ducting here for the brakes. This was a serious road race car. This particular car, after 1967, was sold to Roger Penske. Mark Donohue then drove the car in the United States Road Racing Series, and he won the championship in that. A real piece of Can-Am history and one of the greatest racing cars in the series.
Filtro benzina, that's Italian for fuel filter. Look at the size of this fuel filter. You need a lot of filtration. Look at these beautiful braided feed lines, and you got 3 double-barrel side draft Webers on both sides. Got 2 cams here, 2 cams there. Remember, V12. And look at the way the Italians were real big about wrinkle finish. This has all been duplicated. And of course, it's like a twin 6. You got 3 carburetors feeding this side, 3 carburetors feeding that side. And of course, a Weber is like 2 single-barrel carburetors using a common flow pole. So when you have 1 carburetor, it's like having 2. Got twin ignition distributors, twin coil. These are all Magnet Morelli. And you know, it's just an incredible piece when you look at all this stuff. And everything, again, even the original padding has been restored in here. And over there you got, this used Girling brakes, by the way, which is British. And they have the reservoirs over there all chrome plated, just like they came from the factory. This car left you wanting to go faster and faster and faster. It was a great touring GT. And to me, besides being an impeccable example, got these beautiful Campanola wheels with the knockoff props on it. This is an awesome car. I'll have to figure out some way that I can get the keys and take it for a ride. Right now, we need to take a break. We've got a lot more coming here on Griot's Garage Treasures, so don't touch that dial.
Griot's Garage Treasures is being brought to you by Griot's Garage, car care for the perfectionist, and by ARP, the world leader in racing fastener technology, and by Original Parts Group, world's largest source of GM A-body parts and accessories.
Hey, welcome back to Griot's Garage Treasures. And here's a treasure we found. This is a Lola. This is a little Formula sports car that they ran in Europe, made by Lola. Lola is a car maker that made a lot of race cars over the years, started by a fellow by the name of Eric Broadley. He made little sports cars, he made Can-Am cars, Formula One cars, even Indy cars, and they've won several Indy 500s. This one they ran in the 2-liter series over in Europe. This was originally sold by Lola to a fellow by the name of Joe Bonnier, who was their agent over there. Now, if that name sounds familiar, it should, because he was a very famous Formula One driver. Anyway, he sold it to the Osella racing team, and they raced it in Europe in the 2-liter series for several years. It had an Abarth engine in it. Later on, the car lost track of it. It ended up over here in the United States. Interesting thing about this car, it's got a serial number of HU007, so that's kind of a cool thing, 007. Anyway, the car now has a Cosworth BDG engine in it, produces about 300 horsepower. It's got a Lucas mechanical fuel injection system on it. And this thing will top out about 160 miles an hour. It's that far from the ground, that's got to be a real thrill.
Here's a great example of a 1956 Cadillac Coupe Deville. This is a custom Coupe Deville. This is back in the era, you know, when chrome was king. Look at the size of this chrome. Look at these bumpers and stuff. They also had a lot of horsepower because you had to drag a lot of weight. Now, this particular car has been hot rodded. It's got a 58 Cadillac Eldorado engine with tri-power on it, 3 deuces. But a lot of subtle body modifications. The roof is down, it's been sectioned, car sits low, it's airbag, controls the ride, but also makes it so it's adjustable so you can get over obstacles. Got beautiful wire wheels, they're gorgeous. And of course, shaved door handles. It's got a tunneled antenna, power antenna goes out of sight. But they retain some of the stuff, the character from the 50s. For example, this little guy right here, that was made by Guide, which was a division of AC Delco General Motors. It's an automatic headlight dimmer. You had your high beams on, car coming the other way. That little photo sensor, put your high beams down so you didn't blind the oncoming driver. Real popular. And again, it's a retro rod. Got bucket seats in it, they're all leather covered. The rear seat's been reupholstered. It's got a matching leather covered steering wheel, the console, lots of billet. Car looks good, it runs down the road great. And this is on loan from the LeMay America Car Museum here to Griot. And Griot is the supplier of all of their car care products, not only to LeMay Museum, but as well as the Peterson Museum in Los Angeles. Beautiful car, another thing I'd like to have sitting in my garage.
All right, well now I've been lucky. I've been able to find the curator here at Griot's Garage. Tim Willard is the fellow that does all this. He looks after these cars and does a lot of the restoration as well. Tim, this is a car I'm not that familiar with. Tell me a little bit about this. This is like a 2-liter sports racer, right?
Yeah, that's right, Dave. This is a Webster 2-liter sport racer made in the early 60s by Marvin Webster. He had a shop in the Bay Area and started out building midgets and got into road racing, and this is one of the cars that he built for road racing.
Okay, I see it's got a tube chassis on this as well.
Yeah, Yeah, tube-frame chassis, modeled after the Lotus 23s, which were similar construction of the time. This car is using a Coventry Climax engine, 4-cylinder, dual Weber carburetors. It's got the 4 exhaust pipes, the zoomies, so it makes quite a bit of noise going around the racetrack.
It may be a road race car, but there's a little bit of a hot rod in this as well, right?
Oh, you're absolutely
Webster
right.
built it? Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Anyway, this is a car you can have a lot of fun in it. How much horsepower did it generate you?
Oh, this engine probably close to 200 horsepower, and that was quite a bit for the time.
And as light a car as it is, that's enough to get you in trouble, right?
It really is.
Anyway, well, this is a neat little car. I'm sure that whoever drives it has a good time driving it. It's been run primarily here on the West Coast, right?
That's right. Yeah, the car originally ran in the USRC Road Racing Championship in the early 60s up and down the West Coast. So it's been pretty much a local car all of its life, and we're happy to have it here in the collection.
And it still gets run every once in a while, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The owner loves driving this car. One of his favorite cars.
Hey, welcome back to Griot's Garage Treasures. Well, you're not going to believe it. I've lost Sam. Now, I know he found an old Woody somewhere, and of course, that'll take him back in the time. The problem is, he can remember that time.
A car that was popular for years with the people that bought them new, and then, of course, with customizers and hot rodders, 44. Now, this is a 44 Deluxe. You can tell the Deluxe because the grille is horizontal, has this little section here. The Standard was a lot like the 39 where the grille had vertical bars. So you're looking at a Deluxe. But what makes this special is this black beauty is a Woody wagon. A gorgeous wood. And this has been restored, but it's the original wood. I'm not a wood expert. I know those are mahogany inserts. This is either oak or ash. What made these cars nice is you could fit 8 people in them. They really worked hard. And Ford had some, one-offs done by people outside the industry, but when they started doing them in-house, 1929, they became real popular. By 1947, they'd built something like 16 or 17,000 of these things. And of course, they had a 229 cubic inch flathead, which was 85 horsepower, but some of them were fitted with a 239 cubic inch flathead, which was 95 horsepower, kind of the Mercury version. And they made a limited number of units powered like that. But there's wood on the ceiling. You put 8 people in it, run down the road, haul your gear. These were very popular cars.
I love race cars. It's got a pedigree, and believe me, this one has a pedigree. This is a Kramer Porsche 935 K1. Now, Porsche developed the 935s primarily for like IMSA GT racing, the racing over in Europe. This was a potent race car. Bob Wallach is the guy that drove this car most of the time, and he is a very, very accomplished and famous road racer here in this country and in Europe. But this car has a flat 6-cylinder, 3-liter engine, air-cooled, twin turbocharged, fuel injection. It's got a mechanical fuel injection that's hooked to the turbocharger. This had a little bit of a turbo lag. When you got into it, there's a little bit of lag on there. But when that turbo kicked in, it really kicked in, give you about 800 horsepower right there at your foot. So this could be a handful to drive, but it was a competitive car. The chassis number on this is 903, and the reason that's important is because this particular car accumulated more championship points than any other 935. Of all the 935s that were run, they were entered in 370 races, and they won 123 of them. So you can see that is quite a pedigree for the breed, if you want to call it that. But for this make of car, it was very, very successful. Ran here in 24 hours at Daytona, 12 hours at Sebring, one at Nürburgring, one in Europe. It won everywhere it went. This is a car, if you want to have in your collection, this is one you want to have.
The more you look at this car, the more you can just fall in love with it. Look at this Mercedes Roadster. This particular body style was introduced in 1957 at the Geneva Auto Show, and of course that marked the end of the Gullwing Coupe as we knew it.
Yeah.
Now, what year is this one?
This is a 61 Roadster. This car is freshly restored. It's an interesting color combination. They actually call this V-Scrow or white gray, and it has the green interior. Really stunning combination.
Yeah, it's really pretty. And of course, these cars were made on basically the same chassis the Gullwing was, but since it's a convertible, you had to do things to make it more rigid.
Yeah, a little bit more reinforcement. They're a little bit heavier than the Gullwings, but still a really awesome driving experience.
It has larger front fenders. It's got larger Euro headlights. And of course, you made it more rigid because it was a convertible. You had to make, there was more weight with the bigger front fenders and stuff, so they took the 6-cylinder single overhead cam mechanically injected engine. They upped the compression to 9.5 to 1. What else did they do? I think they changed the camshaft.
Changed the camshaft, did a little bit of tuning to the injection system on the car, and yeah, the thing just goes really well down the road.
Oh yeah,
one of my favorite cars.
The detail work, you look at all the chrome, even around the defrost outlets, which are normally just buried. Beautiful plated trim, the rear view mirror, the way it's mounted, it's just a work of art. But I noticed that this thing had only a couple of options. It comes with a soft top, it was an optional hard top, and then optional wheels. Tell me about these wheels. They're really different.
Yeah, the Rudge knockoff wheels. These are kind of unique for this car. The knockoff wheel allows you to do quick tire changes during a pit stop, something that was developed with the SLR racing cars. And this car has that option. It has the larger drum brakes, which were the final development of the drum brake of this time. Really efficient, really good stopping power. Just overall, a really good package for the car.
We've been in this place for all this time. You notice we haven't heard from Dave. He just disappeared. I have no idea where Dave is.
What? Oh, I know. We ran out of time. We're going to a break. Stay with us. We're going to have some more fun here at Griot's Garage Treasures.
Griot's Garage Treasures is being brought to you by Griot's Garage, car care for the perfectionist. And by Low Car Performance Products, quality, plain and simple. And by Steel Rubber Products, quality restoration rubber parts.
You've seen a lot of Cobras put together, but this is a very rare car right here. It's a contemporary classics body. It's one of only 7 FAA bodies they made. And of course, that was a car that had a 289 in it. And this has got a 351 in it, bored 30 over. It's got 9.8 to 1 compression. There's 485 horsepower at the flywheel on the dyno. Beautiful car. Mediterranean blue, Wimbledon white, stripe in the front. If you look inside, you got leather seats, you got a Moto Leader steering wheel, Stu Warner gauges. And this has got a Richmond gear 5-speed, so you can take all the power of that engine, transfer it to it's got a Jag independent rear with coilovers that are super adjustable springs. But the neat part is it's got these original looking 289 pin drive wheels. Really sets this thing off. So this is a 6-year restoration and build. Just a beautiful car. And the thing about a Cobra, it's sexy, it's loud, and it's fast. You can have a lot of fun in one of these cars.
All right, hey, I'm back from my break. I got the potato chips oiled off my fingers now, so now I can look at these cars and maybe even touch them just a little bit, right?
Well, maybe a little bit.
Just a little bit, okay.
Just a little bit.
This is a car right here, folks, is really near and dear to my heart because, Tim, you're not going to believe it, but years ago, I had a couple of Jags, and the last one I had was a 67. This is a 64.
64, yeah.
But I did a complete restoration on the thing, and when I got done, it looked somewhat like this, but maybe not quite as perfect as this one.
Yeah.
This is what got a 3.8 liter engine.
Yeah, 3.8 liter 6-cylinder engine. This car was actually a rust-free example prior to its restoration. A lot of the original bits on the car were refurbished rather than replaced, so it's a pretty complete and original car.
I'll tell you one thing about the lines on these XKEs back then is they had what I always looked at as the perfect style.
Yeah, there's no bad angle on this car. You can view it from almost any side and it looks beautiful.
And when you put black paint on it, it really better be straight. But here's the 3.8 liter engine in here. Now tell me a little bit about this.
Yeah, 3.8 liter engine, dual overhead cam. This car uses the 3 SU carburetors. And the exhaust manifold on this side, original, it's been re-enameled. And interesting thing is this little device on the back of the intake cam. Yeah, that's actually a dynamo for the tachometer.
There you go. Now, tell me a little bit about this head. It's gold color. What does that mean?
Well, the gold is the color that was used for the 3.8-liter engines. And one other interesting fact, too, is that they stamped the engine number into the front side of the head. This car also comes with an engine block that has a high nickel content that makes it really, really strong and really durable.
And this is a generator on here. This is still using a generator for power as opposed to an alternator at that time.
Back in the period, that's what they used, and this car was restored to Concours quality, so every little piece is original as it came from the factory.
Griot's Garage wants you to have fun in your garage. Now here's your car care tip of the week with Richard Griot.
This week, to make sure you have fun in your garage, we're going to talk about getting your wheels totally spotless. And having the right wheel cleaners make a huge difference and make it fast, fun, and easy. Wheel Cleaner's environmentally friendly concentrated power eliminates tough scrubbing, and it's endorsed by BBS Wheels, the Tire Rack, and Dayton Wire Wheel Company. Chrome Wheel Cleaner's natural citrus oils are specially formulated to cut through brake dust and road grime. When you begin, make sure the wheel is cool to the touch. Rinse the wheel and evenly apply the cleaner. Next, agitate the cleaner with any one of our great cleaning tools. To finish up, just rinse thoroughly and dry using a soft microfiber towel. For very dirty, brake dust covered wheels, use our heavy-duty wheel cleaner. Repeat the normal wheel cleaning process. Notice how the thick solution clings to your wheel, powering through grime. Wait 3 to 5 minutes and watch how it changes color as it works before agitating and rinsing. With a cleaner for every type of wheel and an extensive line of cleaning tools, you'll experience car care perfection every time.
Here's a nice Ford tractor. Now, I've got an 8N myself that I use all the time, but this is a 2N. It's a 1947. You know, how these things came about? During the war, there was price restrictions, and the forerunner of this was the 9N Ford tractor, which couldn't up the price as you made technology. So Ford changed the number, basically the same tractor, and of course, that way they were able to mess with the price.
Hey, bud, this looks exactly like something you ought to have.
Well, I've got one that's very close to it. Nowhere near as pretty, but it works.
I thought we were talking about cars. How'd you end up with a tractor here?
I come in here to steal some of your food where you were sitting down having a break. I spotted this tractor, and you know me and machinery.
Well, hey, when you mentioned break, I think I'm about ready to take one. You know, folks, we've run out of time.
See ya.